Well, hello there. Happy Saturday night. It is October the 1st. It is the first day of 31 Days of Horror. And I tell you what, I almost got a real dose of horror tonight. Just a couple of minutes ago, my Georgia Bulldogs, who were favored by 30 points at Missouri tonight, barely pulled out a victory, scoring in the last few minutes. They're number one, but I'm not sure if they're going to stay number one after this. But you didn't want to hear about college football tonight. You wanted to hear about Night of the Living Dead. This is the 1968 film from George A. Romero, and I am going to be talking about this title tonight. I am really excited to share some thoughts on this and to hear from you, what you all think about this title from the Criterion Collection. We're only going to be on here for a few minutes, but I thought it would be great to kick off this 31 Days of Horror just talking about a Criterion Collection horror title. Of course, the other night, Wednesday night, we had a great live stream, had an awesome time with Mel, Mika, and Kira talking about some of our horror favorites from the last 10 years. And really had a great time talking about those titles. And I came away with a huge list of titles, I have to tell you, and of different films that I need to check out and watch. One of those films is a film that I will show you right here, is a film that I am really glad that I finally watched. No, it is not Minions: The Rise of Gru. It is Train to Busan. So in that stream the other night, everybody was chiming in saying, you gotta see Train to Busan. See Train to Busan, James. Check out Train to Busan. So I finally did. I was looking on Amazon to see, how much the Blu-ray was going for, whether, I wanted to get the 2-film pack, Train to Busan and Train to Busan Peninsula, or just get it separately. But then I looked over at IMDb here and saw that it is available on Amazon Prime. So I have Amazon Prime, so I streamed it last night, and I have to say, I love that film. What an awesome zombie movie. So I have to say thank you to this community for sharing that title with me. And that's the first of a long list of titles that I walk away from Wednesday night stream, because I have like a list of at least a dozen titles that I need to watch based on Mika, Mel, Kira, their recommendations, your recommendations. So I've got my work cut out for me for the month of October. But Night of the Living Dead is a really special film. I mean, this is a cult classic from 1968 from George A. Romero. This is the Criterion Collection Blu-ray edition. So I do not have the 4K edition of this amazing film. But I do want to hear from the comment section if anyone out there has the 4K edition of Night of the Living Dead from Criterion. Chime in and let us know what you think about the picture quality of the 4K disc as it compares to the Blu-ray. So I'm going to talk about Night of the Living Dead for a few minutes, but before I do want to recommend some other Criterion Collection horror titles. Now, these are titles that I couldn't bring up in last week's live stream with Mel, Mika, and Kira because these are older films. These are not films from the last 10 years. These are more vintage horror films, but they're titles that I highly recommend checking out. These are titles that you might want to consider for the upcoming Barnes & Noble Criterion Collection sale. It's October the 1st. The Barnes & Noble sale is about a month away now. So these are some titles to keep on your radar, or if you happen to see them on Amazon for a good price, you might want to consider snatching up one of these 4 titles. The first is Diabolique. This is a film from 1955 from Henri Georges Clouzot, and it is a very fascinating film. It's a very Hitchcockian film. It's about 2 women. One is the wife of this man. The other is his mistress. They basically plot to have him killed, and they try to plan the perfect murder. And of course, as we all know, there is no such thing as a perfect murder. There is no perfect crime, and things get really crazy in a hurry. So this is a great film from 1955 from Henri Georges Clouzot. Highly recommend it. It is spine number 35 in the Criterion Collection. From 1961, we have Jack Clayton's The Innocents starring Deborah Kerr. This is a film. You have this woman named Deborah Kerr who is playing a governess with some children. These children are very, very creepy, and some very weird, ghostly things are occurring in this movie. This is a fantastic film. I have not seen this in a while. I definitely need to revisit it, and I'm probably going to be watching this Halloween season for sure. For sure. Another title that I love. This is from Herc Harvey, Carnival of Souls. What an amazing film. I mean, this is just a great film. It's from 1962. It runs at 78 minutes, and it comes in at spine number 63 in the Criterion collection. This is old school horror at its best. So, so good. Carnival of Souls. And, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's the type of film that when you see it, you will realize, wow, okay, this is where some of the modern horror films get some of their stuff from a movie like this. So I won't say anything more. I don't want to spoil anything. I'm really big on not trying to spoil things, and I don't always succeed, but I'm trying. Then Kaneto Shindo's Kuroneko. Last year, you all recommended to me Kaneto Shindo's Onibaba, which I got, and I love that film. This is Kuroneko, and this is an awesome ghost story. Great film, highly recommended. It's from 1968, same year as Night of the Living Dead, and it's spine number 584 in the Criterion collection. So these are 4 additional horror titles that you might want to consider for your collection as we get closer to the Barnes & Noble sale, or if you happen to see them available on Amazon for a good price, check it out. Or if the Criterion collection does a flash sale in the month of October, which they have done in the past before the Barnes & Noble sale, another good opportunity to take advantage and pick up those titles. But tonight is all about Night of the Living Dead. So before I start talking anymore, we've got about 7 people in the comments here. So let's see what people are saying. Let's see how people are feeling. And I really want to hear what you all think about this movie, because this is an amazing film. Hey, James, looking forward to your thoughts on this film release. I'm going to share them with you, and I'm looking forward to hearing yours as well. Have never seen it all the way through, hoping to correct this month. Yeah, you need to. Absolutely, Eddie. All the way. I mean, this is the kind of film that you definitely want to finish all the way through. It's such a cult classic. It is. And this edition from Criterion is just awesome, just great. Hello, Adrian. That's me. Yes, hello, everybody watching the last minute of this crazy Georgia game. Yeah, I mean, Georgia was favored by 28 points, okay? I was listening to, Missouri talk radio during the week, and none of them gave their team a chance. Missouri was up by 10 points, by 10 points, 13 points throughout a good part of this game, and had a good chance to win and had a good chance to pull off a monumental upset. I'm very glad that they didn't. We were able to hang in there and pull it out in the end, which is what the good teams do, right? So was very happy for that and breathing a sigh of relief. We're going to have fun talking Night of the Living Dead. What's up, Dell? Hope you're doing well. Dolomite fan, I have seen the flick a million times and still gives me the creeps. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I mean, this film is so visceral and is so organic and is so real, and it just hits you at the core. And that's just based on the gritty way that this film was made from a filmmaking standpoint. And we'll talk about that. Yay, another victim for Train to Busan. Yeah, Train to Busan is awesome. And I don't know, has anyone heard any news on the 4K front? Has that title been announced for 4K? I have no idea if it has or not, but I definitely plan to pick it up when it does, for sure. Mika's in the house. Hey, Mika, how are you doing? Really, really enjoyed that live stream the other night. Really appreciate y'all being able to join. That was awesome. And I'm going to be working down the list of recommendations from that live stream. Just so many great films. Dell saying hey to Mika. Mika saying hey back to Dell. Ethan, I just watched The Incredible Shrinking Man last night for the first time. Okay, yes. Yeah, I have I have a series on this channel called Backlog Treasures, and that's one of the titles of my backlog I need to see. Ethan, let us know if you liked Incredible Shrinking Man. Adrian saying hey to Mika. Mika saying hey back. I have Carnival of Souls on our 31 Days of Halloween watch list. Yeah, awesome. It's a really nice film. It's a really nice film. Really enjoyed it. 2BS Carnival of Souls in color. That's interesting. That is interesting, and that's something interesting to talk about this film here, because I believe it was an artistic choice. This film was from 1968, so it's in black and white. So it could very well have been shot in color, but I think George Romero made the correct choice artistically to shoot this film in black and white. So I have Night of the Living Dead, just rewatched it recently, and it definitely holds up. I agree. It 100% holds up over 50 years later. It's such a great horror film. This is pretty much a prototype for the modern zombie movie. I would agree, Dolomite. For years, it was difficult to get a good copy of Night of the Living Dead. I had some really bad VHS public domain releases. Yeah, and this edition from Criterion, this Blu-ray, I'll just go ahead and tell you this Blu-ray looks absolutely fantastic. So let's just say that right off the bat. This is a new 4K digital restoration that was supervised by George Romero before he passed away. I think he passed in 2017. And you have a new restoration of the monaural soundtrack. So the sound sounds just fine. You can hear the dialogue really clearly. You could hear the wonderful sound design, which is something that I really appreciated about this Blu-ray, is that, I'm sitting here watching the movie and I'm hearing the crickets and hearing the outside noises. And they did a really nice job from a sound design standpoint and really setting that mood of making you feel like you're in this rural location, in this ranch house, and trapped inside and zombies coming at you. I think they did a great job there. But visually, with this 4K digital restoration, this film looks fantastic on this Blu-ray disc. It looks wonderful on this Blu-ray disc. So I just want to know if anyone out there is in this stream that has the 4K edition of this. Let us know, what is the comparison based on looking at the 4K disc and the Blu-ray disc? How does it compare from a picture quality standpoint? Let us know that in the comment section. But yeah, from a technical standpoint, the video and audio absolutely solid on this Blu-ray release. And I'm going to have to contemplate if I'm going to pick this up on 4K or not. So let's see here. I love Night of the Living Dead, watch it every year. I'm with you, Mika. The ending still gets to me. Yeah. And I'm just going to go ahead and warn, there will be some spoilers here for Night of the Living Dead. Just so you know, I try to avoid spoilers, but it's probably going to be inevitable that we'll reveal something here. But yeah, that ending is very, I thought the ending was just about perfect. It's one of those things where it's not the happy ending, right? But you just sort of get a sense during this film that these people are doomed, that they're not going to get out of this, alive, and everything's probably not going to be okay. They're coming to get you, Barbara. Yes, they're coming to get you, Barbara. I love that beginning. I never get tired of hearing that. Every time I see it, I can't stop saying, they're coming to get you, Barbara. Yes, yes. Good late evening, James. Night of the Living Dead was film number 1 for my 31 Days of Halloween. Looking forward to the 4K release. Yes. Yes. And I probably am going to pick it up next month as part of the Barnes and Noble sale. I do need to read some reviews, and I do want to hear from some of you as to whether or not the picture quality is worth, is it worth it? I don't believe that the 4K has Dolby Vision. We're going to go to the Criterion site here in just a moment and look at the specs, the technical specs of the 4K release. I don't think it has Dolby Vision or HDR. And that's something to consider. But from what I've heard, the uptick in the detail going from, taking that, what I believe to be the same 4K digital restoration and putting it on a 4K disc and getting that full benefit of 4K resolution, that it does, give you a little bit of a visual upgrade. It's just a matter of how much of an upgrade. Incredible Shrinking Man was a lot of fun, funny and disturbing at the same time. Okay, that's good to know, Ethan. I need to watch that this month as part of Horror Month. It was a great choice to shoot in black and white. If it were in color, it would have probably have written off as a grindhouse flick. I agree, and in going through the special features. So I've talked about the video and the audio quality. double thumbs up, excellent. I mean, this Blu-ray edition, if you happen to have this Blu-ray edition and you have not watched this yet, rest assured, you already have a great edition of Night of the Living Dead on this Blu-ray edition from the Criterion Collection. Someone mentioned old VHS, copies, and it was public domain, and the video quality of some of those old editions not so good. That's fixed here. This is a new at the time, a new 4K digital restoration when this came out in 2017. And I believe that same 4K restoration was used for the Criterion 4K that recently came out. So the picture quality is rock solid. I mean, this picture looks so clean, beautiful definition. I mean, it just looks great. The black levels are great. Every aspect of the picture quality is just fantastic. You really get to appreciate that when you see this Blu-ray or when you see the 4K. And then one of the special features is they show an unrestored work print of this film. And there are some differences between that work print and the final version. And you really see the difference in that unrestored footage and, versus a fully restored, footage on this Blu-ray. So just fantastic. The technical specs are top notch on this Blu-ray. Now, the other aspect of this release is the special features. Now, if you look on the back here, a very nice list of special features, and I will actually go through those right now. So let me take this off and let me share my screen again. We're just going to take a few minutes and have fun with this live review. Quite frankly, I'm experiencing a bit of relief, to be completely honest with you. I didn't know if I was going to come on here, incredibly ticked off at my football team, which I still am, even though they won the game, even though Georgia won the game. They won the game 26-22. I need to recheck that. Did they really pull out this game with their dumb selves? I just get so upset with my team, man. Yeah, they did. They did win the game, 26-22. Favored by 4 touchdowns, and they end up winning by 4 points. But sometimes you just got to take the win and get out of there and live to fight another day. And that's what they did. So right now you should see, I'm sharing the wrong thing. I want to share the Criterion site. So forgive me here. See, I got football on the brain, y'all. Forgive me. I hope y'all can forgive me. So this is the Criterion Collection site. Let me know if any of you have Sound of Metal. I have not picked it up yet. Great film, though. Let me know if you got that Sound of Metal 4K. All right, so this is Night of the Living Dead, George A. Romero. And this is, we're going to look at the special features here. This is spine number 909 in the collection. And you see here, note, it says 4K digital restoration. Okay, that's in contrast to what it says on the back of the Blu-ray edition, which it said new 4K digital restoration on the Blu-ray edition that came out, I guess, 5 years ago. This just says 4K digital restoration, which leads me to think that it's the same restoration work that they did for this Blu-ray. They've taken that same restoration and they put it on this 4K disc, which is perfectly fine because that restoration was top notch. I mean, this Blu-ray looks phenomenal. So they took that great restoration, put it on a 4K disc. And what you'll see here is in the 4K Ultra HD edition, 1 4K Ultra HD disc of the film and 2 Blu-rays of the film and special features. No mention at all of any Dolby Vision or HDR. So this is the Criterion site. There is no mention of any HDR or Dolby Vision. But I would suspect that with that bump up in resolution, you're getting that full resolution at 4K. It's probably going to be a little bit of an uptick in quality. It's just a matter of how much of a difference is it? Can you really appreciate it? If you're sitting, 6 feet or 10 feet from your television, are you really going to, be able to tell the difference? That's really what you have to sort of think about. But this here is Night of the Anubis, a work print edition of the film. That's what I was mentioning before about this work print edition that they have in the special features. that is really great to see, because you really can appreciate, oh, wow, here's this unrestored footage versus this beautiful restoration that I've seen. Really gives you an appreciation for the great work they did with this restoration. Here's a great program featuring Guillermo del Toro, Frank Darabont, and Robert Rodriguez talking about this film and its cultural impact, and talking about the great work of George Romero. You have so many great features on here. You have these two fantastic commentaries. The commentaries on here are phenomenal. The commentaries are great. That's the other thing to keep in mind with this 4K release, is that the features that are listed here are the same features that appear on this Blu-ray edition. So I don't believe there's any new special features. So that's something to keep in mind. If you already have the Blu-ray and you're trying to decide, do I want to upgrade to the 4K? You're not getting any new special features. What you're getting is a 4K disc, and you're getting that presumably improved or uptick in picture quality. So you have here some archival interviews with Romero and Duane Jones and Judith Ripley. Of course, Duane Jones played Ben in this film, which has tremendous cultural relevance, because at that time, you didn't have a lot of Black actors playing, a lead role in a film in the 1960s. It was pretty much Sidney Poitier, and that was pretty much it. And so to have Duane Jones here, appear in this lead role is definitely, culturally significant. And what a legendary role he played in this movie. And, the actors talk in the special features, they talk about how, he's deeply missed, because they did a lot of, coming together at conventions throughout the years since this film has been released. It's a cult classic. And of course, Mr. Jones passed away, several years ago. And so they talked about how great it would be if he was still with us to, share the memories of this film. But you have so many great features, as you see listed here on this edition from the Criterion Collection. Same features that appeared on the Blu-ray edition that I am holding in my hand right here. So incredible edition. The Blu-ray looks and sounds great. The special features are absolutely phenomenal. They give you a great appreciation for the cultural relevance of this film and what went into producing this film. It gives you a lot of nice background on George A. Romero as a filmmaker, and just his independent roots, and how he was not, he didn't come up through the Hollywood system or the New York system. He was sort of doing this on a shoestring budget, raising the money on his own, along with some other partners. He developed his production company, which I believe was called, what was it called? Oh, I forgot the name of his production company, but he, set up his production company, raised the money, and decided to make a feature film after doing a lot of commercial work. He decided to raise money for a feature film and a feature horror film. And he wrote the screenplay, and on a shoestring budget shot this movie. And this movie's cultural relevance is really tied to just the fact that he didn't have high production values. He just had a compelling story and gritty filmmaking that went into producing, what is still a film that resonates to this day. I mean, I believe Dell just said in the comments that this film still holds up to this day, and it's because of the great story. And it's an example of how, all you need is a great idea and great execution behind that idea. You don't have to have all of the, all the high production values, just a great idea with great, characters, a compelling story, and knowing what to do with the little bit that you have to work with, and you can make a great film. And that's exactly what George A. Romero did. Of course, this is a film that starts off with Judith Ripley, I believe. Is it? Yeah, it's. Oh. So I have here Duane Jones played Ben, of course. Judith O'Dea played Barbara. So they're coming from you. They're coming for you, Barbara. Carl Hardman played Mr. Harry Cooper. Marilyn Eastman played Helen Cooper. Keith Wayne played Tom, and Judith Ripley played Judy. So Judith Ripley played Judy, the girlfriend of Tom, played by Keith Wayne in this movie. But I love Dwayne Jones's character. Of course, at the beginning of this film shows Judith O'Dea, who plays Barbara. Her and her brother are, making their way up to a cemetery to lay flowers at the grave of their father for their mother. And of course, they encounter a zombie. You don't know it's a zombie at first. If you've never seen the film, you don't really know. You just see this person walking weirdly, and the story slowly unfolds, and you realize, oh, this is like a zombie coming after people. And so, the zombie overpowers the brother. Barbara runs away. She finds this farmhouse, runs to the farmhouse, and eventually runs into Dwayne Jones's character, who is Ben. And they get holed up in the house and try to, secure the house from these zombies who are converging on the house. And then you see these other characters who you find out are hiding in the cellar, who are played by Carl Hardman, who plays Mr. Cooper in this film. His wife, Marilyn Eastman, is Helen Cooper, and Tom, played by Keith Wayne. And one of the aspects of this film I really love is that back and forth between Ben and Mr. Cooper. I mean, I love their rivalry in this film, and it just makes me think about, are you team Ben or are you team Mr. Cooper? Are you on Ben's side or are you on Mr. Cooper's side in their arguments, going at each other, trying to figure out, okay, does it make sense to stay up on the main floor and board everything up, or should we go hide in the cellar like Mr. Cooper wants us to do? So I love that back and forth, but just a great, great film that I can just watch over and over and over again. Let me see where we are in the comments. Let me see. Okay. Here we go. Been debating as to whether I want to upgrade my Criterion. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I'm at, because here's sort of how I feel about this film. I think that this Blu-ray edition from Criterion is pretty much perfect as it is. I mean, I could probably get by not upgrading to 4K. I'm just trying to decide, how much of a difference is it? And to be completely honest, I feel like, just given the gritty nature of this film, I kind of am very happy with this Blu-ray as it is. So it's really just going to come down to, what the reviews look like and is it really worth making the change? I don't plan on upgrading the Criterion Blu-ray to 4K. You have to draw the line somewhere. I agree, Ethan. I'm with you on that. On Blu-ray site, the 4K gets 5 stars for video and audio. Yeah, Blu-ray.com is a great resource. What's up, Culture? What's up? How you doing? I watched some background stuff on the making of the film. I love the fact of an African-American man playing the lead in a horror flick, groundbreaking in the 60s. Yes, it was groundbreaking. And on the special features of this edition, which are excellent, if you do not already have this edition from the Criterion Collection, if you don't have Night of the Living Dead, I highly recommend it. Definitely get this film from the Criterion Collection. If you don't already have it, I would recommend definitely get that 4K for sure. If you already have the Blu-ray, you might want to just consider just keeping your Blu-ray, but the special features are amazing. And that's a great point on Dwayne Jones. And George A. Romero mentioned in one of the interviews on this disc that, he understood the cultural importance, of that and how big a deal that was. And during the production of this film, because this film was made in 1967, released in 1968. So as they were finishing the film, that's right around the time when Martin Luther King was assassinated. And George A. Romero recalled the time that when they were finishing the production of this film, that him hearing about MLK's assassination and thinking about, wow, the importance of Dwayne Jones playing this role in this important time, in American history, it was, a big connection point for him. So that's just one of the nuggets you pick up from the special features of this film. You learn so much about the production of this film, what went into making this film, and just the grassroots efforts that Romero put into making a cult classic. And the fact that They didn't have, high production values. They didn't have a lot of money to work with. They had very little in the way of resources, and they were able to make something that has lasting impact and relevance to this day in ways that a lot of films with multi-million-dollar budgets and high production values today can't even begin to touch. So that's the great thing about Night of the Living Dead, is the story is great and the characters are absolutely fantastic. Dwayne Jones has been perfect. Mr. Cooper, played by Carl Hardman, is absolutely fantastic. Judith O'Dea playing Barbara. They're coming for you, Barbara. Perfect. The gentleman who played her brother, he played that so well. And the story behind the casting of the ghouls and the zombies, just absolutely fantastic. Another aspect I really liked about this film was they're trapped in this farmhouse, and they're trying to keep the ghouls out. And you get news reports on the radio and some on TV. And I just love that old style, way of delivering the news. They didn't have, the internet. They didn't have, Instagram or, YouTube or any of that stuff. They did not have instant, news. They had to rely on, radio shows and broadcasts and TV, shows. TV broadcasts of news. And I just loved how that was presented in this film, in terms of how the information was doled out, in terms of what was going on, in terms of what caused this zombie breakout and apocalypse. Apparently radiation from space, caused this breakout. So just phenomenal. I love that aspect of the story. It really puts you in that world that they're in. You have this claustrophobic feeling of being trapped in this house, and you're hearing news reports of this breakout and how the government's responding to it, and how they're describing the ghouls. They're flesh-eating ghouls, and that you need to shoot them, in the head or whatever. So crazy stuff. See, John, I hope you are well. I am so excited to get this in 4K. I'm being cheap and waiting for November. I don't blame you. Also, nothing wrong with football brain. I'm telling you, man, there are times where I have to sort of put sports down. I have to put sports to the side, because these teams will really get you upset. Sup, Dell? Romero's response was simple when asked why Dwayne Jones was chosen. He was the best person for the part. Simple enough. I agree. The Blu-ray looks great. Don't think I'll be upgrading. Yeah, I'm with you on that culture. I think I will hold on to the Blu-ray. I'm with you, Mika. That's kind of where I'm leaning. I would rather put that money towards some of the other great releases coming out in November that I don't already have, So let's see. John Carpenter cast a black lead in Assault on Precinct 13 a few years later. Those two films remind me of each other, not only for that, but because they are in a confined space like Rio Bravo. Okay. Dwayne Jones was also great in a flick called Ganga and Hess. That would be a great addition to the Criterion Collection. I've heard of that film. I have not seen it yet. Dolomite Fan 1, I have the Eureka edition of Ganga and Hess. Amazing and mesmerizing film. Okay, cool. I'll have to check that one out at some point. Yes, it is. I had an old VHS copy I copped in college. Island 007-100, the cemetery in Evans City, Pennsylvania, where the beginning was filmed, is a popular spot on Halloween night. According to locals, the police are always kicking people out. That is so cool. Yeah, and that's part of the gritty aspect of this film, is it was shot on location in Pennsylvania. It wasn't shot on some backlot somewhere. It was shot in the outdoors, and you just get a sense that this is really happening. It's so down to earth. It's so down to earth and real and rich and organic. It just feels like, wow, this is really happening, and you're really inhabiting this world. So I absolutely love that. Gang and Hess was a good one. I need to rewatch that. I watched it last year during my Black History Month. Okay, we'll have to catch it sometime, y'all. Before this movie, zombies were completely different in movies. He created the whole brain-eating zombie, an idea that you kill them by sticking something in their head. Yeah, so it's all in the brain. And I I love it. I mean, that's part of what's groundbreaking about this film. And I do have to confess that this film, Night of the Living Dead, is an example of I've got catch-up work to do, because this film is the beginning of a series of films from Romero. I've only seen the first one, Night of the Living Dead. I have not seen Dawn of the Dead from 78, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, Survival of the Dead. So I have not seen these other ones. So let me know, after seeing Night of the Living Dead, are all of these other ones good to great? Are there some that you would say skip, just go with this sequel? Let me know your thoughts on the sequels to this film. But this one here is a stone cold masterpiece. Let me know what other ones you enjoy. It was tough trying to figure out what made the most sense regarding safe choices. By staying in the living room, you were able to get out easily. The basement was a trap, showed what one would do. Yeah, and I love that debate between Dwayne Jones as Ben and Mr. Cooper. That was so entertaining, just seeing their back and forth. And I mean, wow, I love that. Love it. When desperate. Yep. Hey, James, hope you're doing well, my man. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, Jacob. I almost came on this live stream very depressed. If my number one team in the country had gotten upset, I would have been upset. I would have tried to push it aside and focus on Night of the Living Dead, but I would have been experiencing a real horror story. But it's all good. Happy spooky season. Happy spooky season. It's October the 1st, y'all. It is the first day of spooky season, and this is how I wanted to start it out, by just coming on talking about a classic Criterion Collection horror release. If you're thinking about what are some titles to pick up for this time of the year, what are some titles from the Criterion Collection? We do a lot of Criterion Collection content on this channel. This is definitely one to strongly consider, in addition to the other ones. If you joined just now, these are some other ones in Criterion that I highly, highly recommend. Diabolique, The Innocents, Carnival of Souls, and Kuroneko. Kuroneko is from Kaneto Shindo. He's the same director who did Onibaba, which is an amazing release from Criterion. So those are 4 to 5 other recommendations that I highly, highly recommend. Anyone else watching Jeffrey Dahmer on Netflix? I am not, but I've seen it advertised, and I've heard great things about it. I heard it's really, really good. It's interesting that most groundbreaking films are made on a shoestring budget. I agree, and they talk about that in the special features. They talk about how when you are limited with resources, it really challenges you to dig deep and come up with something creative and compelling. And it proves you don't have to have, all the money in the world. You don't have to have high production values. What you have to have is a great idea, a compelling story with compelling characters, and executing that really, really well, and letting those performances shine and come through. And one of the big parts of this movie is, of course, the premise itself is just phenomenal. The whole zombie thing, how that's set up, and then the characters are so compelling. Dwayne Jones has been the Mr. Cooper gentleman. Judith O'Dea is Barbara, just fantastic. The wife, played by Marilyn Eastman, she plays Mrs. Cooper. She is really good. And I believe the actor who played Mr. Cooper and Marilyn Eastman, who played Mrs. Cooper, I think they helped, if I read correctly, I think they helped finance this film. So they were part of raising the money for George Romero for this movie. So just phenomenal contributions from everyone involved, including all the extras who played the zombies. And just a well-made, well-put-together movie. That's a classic. Dawn is even better. So Dawn of the Dead's better. Okay. Dawn is probably even better. Jacob and Ethan think so. Dolomite fan, Dawn is awesome. Okay. All right, y'all. I'm on to Dawn of the Dead. Okay. Day is really good. Land is good. Diary, okay. And Survival is only bad one. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Any love for The Walking Dead? Obviously, very much inspired by Night and the sequels. Also very cool that it was filmed in Georgia, our home state, James. Yes, I am in Georgia. I am in the Atlanta metro area, home of the Georgia Bulldogs, who are still undefeated. I don't know if they'll still be number one tomorrow based on their performance tonight, but at least we're 5-0. What up, James? Fantastic masterpiece that you're covering. I can't wait for the Criterion. Yeah, the Criterion is well worth it. So just so you know, as far as my review, this film is amazing. The audio and the video and audio quality, fantastic on this Blu-ray edition. And the special features are absolutely fantastic. Let me show you real quick what you get on the inside here. So I believe the packaging is the same on the 4K edition, I believe. So it's a nice digibook edition. So check this out. And then on the inside, look at what you get on the inside here. You have this digibook going on. Isn't that awesome? That artwork is phenomenal. You get 2 discs here. Now, I believe on the Criterion site, I'll check real quickly just to check my facts here. You get 3 discs on the 4K edition, but here you get 2 Blu-ray discs. So here you get the film on disc 1 and the commentaries and I think a couple of features. But then on the second disc, you get a ton of additional special features. This is a great addition overall from the Criterion collection. The special features are phenomenal. And the fold out, check out this art. Check out this art, folks. One of the ghouls, I believe this is the daughter. I believe this is the daughter of the Coopers. Fantastic. And you get this awesome essay by Stuart Clawins, Mere Anarchy is Loosed. Fantastic essay that gives you a lot of background on George Romero and the making of this film. This is a absolute stone cold classic, and this is a beautiful addition from the Criterion collection. Night of the Living Dead. Great digipack, and I highly, highly recommend this edition. I highly recommend it if you get the Blu-ray or the 4K. Some people will decide to, even though the 4K is available, some people decide to just buy the Blu-ray. It's cheaper. You know, if you get it during the sale, it'll be $5 cheaper. If that, is important to you, get the Blu-ray. You're going to get a fantastic edition. But if you don't mind spending a few extra dollars, go ahead and get that 4K edition. It's going to be the best edition of the film available on the home video market. It will never look any better than that, probably for a long time. And this is a great way to enjoy this film. The special features alone are worth the price of admission. They just give you so much background on how this film was made and George Romero and his vision. So this edition is highly recommended. So that's my review of Night of the Living Dead Blu-ray edition. See, what's up? Fantastic masterpiece. Can't wait for the Criterion. Jacob, I'm a Sooner fan, so today has been abysmal. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about what TCU did there. Yeah, I was taking my son to get his haircut and taking him from basketball, and he was just, reading his phone as I was driving and giving me the score updates. And I was thinking to myself, wow, they're putting their hurt on Oklahoma. So I'm sorry to hear that, Jacob. My grandfather said that the film was something to be seen during the time, especially regarding where race relations were during the time. So you remember the audience gasping when Ben slapped Barbara. Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, that was wild. But yeah, this film came out in 1968, and it's the cultural relevance of that film just simply cannot be overstated. Just a fantastically culturally relevant. James, I'm helping you take Walter's Only Take 10 Criterion Challenge. No pressure. Oh, take 10 Criterion Challenge. Okay, I'll have to look that up, Del. I assume that is, if you can only take 10 Criterions, what would they be? Well, I can tell you what 2 of them would be. Blowout, 4K, and Medium Cool will be 2 of my Criterions I would have to take, but I'm not sure what the other 10 would be. That sounds like a great challenge. I really enjoyed the original Dawn of the Dead. Day of the Dead is a little hard for me to get through, but that's just me. Day of the Dead. Okay. Sounds like Dawn of the Dead is the next one for me to check out in this Romero series. Dawn of the Dead is great. I enjoyed the sequel as well. Oh, I'm sorry. Culture said he enjoyed it as well. And Mika thinks it's great. Enjoy the sequel. Day of the Dead and Land of the Dead I enjoy. The remake of Night of the Living Dead was a good time. Okay. That's good to know. I love the first 6 seasons of Walking Dead. You know, that's great to know. I actually have the first 4 or 5 seasons of The Walking Dead on Blu-ray. I've caught those seasons on like Black Fridays. I would see them on sale for like $10 for a whole season. I said, oh, let me pick that up. And I think one of these holiday seasons, I'm going to just binge watch the entire series, The Walking Dead, one of these years. Dawn of the Dead remake is a favorite of mine. 4K coming. Okay, good to know. Speaking of Georgia, do you watch the YouTubers Misfit Pond and The Welder? They are also in Georgia, have a lot of Criterion content. You three are all some of the best YouTubers. Well, thank you, Ethan. Yes, I do see some of their videos, and they are phenomenal. They're all phenomenal. There are so many great content creators on this platform, and I just admire the great work that's being done out there, just covering the craziness of this hobby, which is collecting physical media. I also like following, other subjects of other YouTube content creators as well. So great stuff. The Walking Dead is cool, but I think the series is on a little too long. Yeah, some series do that. They sort of drag on a little bit too long, kind of wear out their welcome. The Walking Dead is a top 5 series for me. Yes, some weak moments, but the greatness of it overall outweighs the low points. Okay, that is good to know. Good to know. And then problem is, even at half price, if you already have the Blu-ray and then buy the 4K, it's like spending $45. Yeah, I agree. That's sort of a decision point that people have to make as to whether or not it's worth it. I'm 50-50. I'm kind of leaning toward just sticking with this. I'm totally happy with this. This is a great addition. But I'll read some reviews, and I will have to see. But yeah, let me see if there's anything else I need to say on this film. I mean, again, this is highly recommended. Cannot recommend it enough. I mean, the music at the beginning really sets that tone. It sort of has that radiation sound to it, and really sets the tone of this movie. And the movie is a big part of setting the mood for this film. And I really do appreciate that. You do have a few jump scares in there that are kind of old school. I love the radio and TV broadcast, pieces that were going on there. And the characters are fantastic. Let's see. I love it when Ben told Mr. Cooper, if you stay up here, you're taking orders from me, I mean, just the dynamic between those two characters, just absolutely phenomenal. And the way that this movie ended, I guess I'll just go ahead and say it. The way this movie ended, definitely, I feel like it was pretty much perfect. And the way the footage was shot at the ending, it's just great. And it's just an example of masterful filmmaking at work. And part of why I think this is such an incredible cult classic. But I think the last thing I will do is share my screen here for just a moment. And we'll go to the IMDb tab of Night of the Living Dead. And we'll just look at that for just a second. But what you're looking at here is Night of the Living Dead. They Won't Stay Dead. This is a classic poster here. You see Dwayne Jones here, Ben. You just see these amazing, amazing characters. George A. Romero is the director. George A. Romero wrote the screenplay along with John Russo. You have Dwayne Jones, Judith O'Dea, and Carl Hardman. And then, of course, here are the characters. You have Dwayne Jones playing Ben, Judith O'Dea playing Barbara, who I believe is still with us. Of course, Dwayne Jones, he passed away from heart failure at a fairly young age in 1988 at the age of 51. So they were just saying in the special features how, it would have been great if he could have still been with us. Of course, Carl Hardman, he left a few years ago Same with Marilyn Eastman. They were both in their 80s. Judith O'Dea is still with us, actress who played Barbara. They're coming for you, Barbara. She was actually born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so she was a local in the area at the time. But just a fantastic cast for this film, and just one of the great classics of all time. Here's the actor who played her brother, who uttered that famous line, "They're coming for you, Barbara," in the cemetery. Of course, the ghoul or the zombie, killed him in that scene. And then, of course, he comes back toward the end and reunites with his sisters, so to speak. So what a great film. What a great film. And I simply cannot say enough about Night of the Living Dead. Let me capture these last few comments, and then I'm going to send everybody out. Let's see. The Walking Dead is cool, but I think the series is a little too long. I agree. Let's see here. John agrees. John agrees with Dolomite's assessment of The Walking Dead, that it went on too long. Yeah. I'm a bit of a cheapskate. I like to get 4K slightly off of eBay or pawn shop, so it may be a while before I get the 4K version. Okay. The brother at the beginning was so creepy looking. I agree. And they talk about how the decision they made about putting the pins in his pocket like he's an accountant or whatever, which I thought was interesting. And the special features are definitely worth going through. So the movie's amazing, the presentation fantastic, and the special features are phenomenal. This is the total package from Criterion. Whether you get the Blu-ray or the 4K, this edition is highly recommended. Spy number 909, the Criterion Collection, Night of the Living Dead by George A. Romero, is highly recommended, whether you get the Blu-ray, the 4K, or I believe it's available on DVD as well. So however you get it, just own this movie. It's a cult classic. It's one of the greats of all time, and it's highly recommended. So that's where I will leave it. Hope you guys enjoyed this live review of Night of the Living Dead from the Criterion Collection. Thank y'all for joining me tonight. Hope y'all have a great rest of the weekend. And this is the start of 31 Days of Horror. I'm excited. Let me know as we talk during this month, what movies are you watching? I'm getting ready to watch some other films here. I think I'm going to watch Friday the 13th and watch maybe Dawn of the Dead next. We shall see. But I got to get on that list from Wednesday's live stream of recent horror titles. So got a lot of great horror goodness to enjoy. But I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Saturday night, the last few minutes of it if you're here in the Eastern time zone. And hope you have a great Sunday and rest of your weekend, and a great week coming up, and a great start to spooky season. Have a nice night, everybody. God bless. Peace.